Hi, it's Tim Reagan here, and today I want to talk about a concept that I call career future proofing. And the essence of this, the reason why we need to do this is because, as we all know, things are moving pretty fast in our world, and and the whole notion of sort of good, long-term, stable, secure employment is pretty much gone. And my contention is that it's only going to get even more disruptive going forward. So, things are going to, the level of disruption in our society is accelerating, driven by new technologies, disruptive business models, all kinds of different things. And, whether the examples are Amazon or Facebook and what they've done to the media industries, or Uber and Airbnb with their respective target markets that they're dramatically changing the way they work. So that's happening all around us, and it's accelerating. And so the notion is that we really need to really take ownership and figure out how do I survive and thrive in these very, very unpredictable, somewhat unforgiving times. And that is really what is the essence of this 7-step framework that I put together for thinking, perhaps hopefully a bit differently and more powerfully about what future proofing looks like from a career perspective. So let me jump into it, and I'm going to lay out in this video the 7 steps, or the 7-step framework, and just talk very briefly about each one. And then in future videos, I'm going to do a deep dive on each of those, so that we can add a little bit more meat to the bones. And in case you're interested, this is in a document, a 17-page document that you can access in the comments section of the below this video. And it's at careerconstructors.com/FP guide. And that's where you can find the 7-step framework. So step number 1 is really pretty straightforward. It is taking ownership of your career. So that means you no longer can think that you're outsourcing it, that somebody else is going to actually think very hard about your career. Not your HR organization, not the company you work for, not your manager, your spouse, whoever it is that you think currently is in charge of your career development. It's you, and you're the only person. So the sooner you embrace that thinking, then you can get on with the other steps. That's the pretty straightforward step. And once you're, once you're saying, okay, yes, I own this, and this is now on me, and I better figure out what it is I want to do, that also means that you're going to start to need to get clear about what success means to you. What is your own personal definition of success, and what is the balance? What are the sets of things that you're looking for in your life? And of course, those will change and evolve over your lifetime, as your as your personal state changes with young families, being single, other obligations, mortgages, whatever those life changes are. But at each and every point, you have to have a good definition for what am I trying to accomplish. And that leads to the next step, which is really about your productivity. How do I get the most out of every available day and week that I have? And the answer to this is not the putting in 80, 90, 100 hours a week, because that's not sustainable, and humans actually don't work particularly well at that level. This is about what I call developing a weekly heartbeat, so that you're getting the important stuff done. You're being clear about what's important versus what the urgent is, and you are advancing the important work on a week-to-week basis in what I call the weekly heartbeat. And that then leads to the next step, which is about getting clear or clearer about what your highest value proposition or most compelling value story is. And the idea here is that we're all built differently, and we all like to do certain things. And what is it that you really love doing, that you find purposeful, that is engaging, and that has value to society or to some part of society? And that's really where you're going to do your best work, and you're going to come alive. And and you need to get clear about that so that you can navigate toward that. And that's all part of developing your most powerful or your highest most compelling value story. And that then leads naturally into the next step, which is really about networking or sort of your outreach campaign. Now that you know what kinds of problems you love solving and for the kinds of people or the kinds of organizations that you really want to solve them for, your networking becomes a lot easier, because now you're not just kind of giving a muddled message, but you're very clear about what's important to you and what you're looking to do. And now your networking becomes a lot easier and less painful. And many people find networking quite painful. And the networking step then naturally leads to the next piece, which is really about becoming more curious about the world around you. So it's not just staying focused in on, narrowly on the things, the problems you really love solving. It's starting to get curious about the other problems that kind of touch those problems. So looking at your ecosystem and looking at sort of complementary spaces, because the idea here is that as much as possible, you want to have an early warning system so that any disruptions that show up in your world, you've got some sort of advance notice of them so that you can start to build them into your response mechanism. The last thing you want is for something to completely surprise you. And the best way to ensure that you're not completely surprised is to be curious, is to ask a lot of questions, is to go out and probe and look around in the space that you're operating in and the complementary spaces around it to see sort of what's interesting, what's happening, what are some of the things that are bubbling up in this space. And that's going to really give you a much better early warning system than possibly you have today. That then leads to building an opportunity pipeline, what I call building an opportunity pipeline, step 6. And really, this is just about becoming much more systematic and proactive in clarifying the opportunities that are on the table, in figuring out what state they're in, and deciding how to qualify them in or out and how to advance them. And so this is no different than what salespeople have been doing forever. But the idea is that we all need to embrace this and have some sort of a systematic approach for doing this. And these are not just job opportunities or contract opportunities, but these might be collaboration opportunities, opportunities to volunteer, take new training, learn new things. So opportunities come in a bunch of different, bunch of different flavors, and it's important to have a systematic way to think through them so that you're really discovering, okay, what this opportunity that I'm looking at right now, what do I want to do with that? Is it ready to advance? Can I just remove this? Is it no longer applicable? And doing that in a deliberate fashion. So that's the opportunity pipeline piece. And then that leads to our final step in the framework, which is about having a good support community around you. Things are moving pretty quickly, and you need to have a set of trusted confidants that you can open up to and that you can share your challenges and beliefs and desires with. And that will do two things. You want a group of people that are, number one, are going to allow you to embrace your dream and to embrace it with you. But equally important, or perhaps more important, is that are then going to hold your feet to the fire and say, okay, great, that's a wonderful plan or a wonderful vision. What are you going to do to make it real? And this kind of fits back into our weekly heartbeat concept that says, how can we help you as a support community? How can we help you advance things? We're not going to do it for you, but we want to help you, and we want to help you shape those ideas and figure out what the actions are, and maybe help you with the skill sets. So the idea of an ongoing support network is somebody's got to have your back, and there's got to be somebody there and some group of people that you can confide in and work with as you move your career forward. And most of us don't have that, and I believe that that's a critical function for success going forward. So in a nutshell, that is the 7-step framework that I'm proposing. And as I say, there's a link in the comment section if you want to download the document. And in future videos, I'm going to explore each of those steps in more detail and put a little bit more, put a little bit more meat on the bone, as we say. So thanks very much for listening. I hope you found this useful, and I look forward to any comments or feedback that you'd like to provide me. So thanks very much, and take care. Bye-bye.